by cryptocurrency?
You need like a throw up bucket off to the side.
What's up, you guys? In this video, I'm going to be talking with a dear friend of mine about cryptocurrency. This individual doesn't necessarily have positive beliefs about crypto, so we're going to talk a little about that. Many of you might have some friends or family that feel the same way, so I think that'll be an interesting topic for a lot of you to watch. So the first person I'm going to be talking to here is Aaron. And I've never really talked in detail about why Aaron doesn't necessarily like crypto. However, he has expressed to me that he's not very interested, and so that's what we're going to talk about today. So I guess if I would ask you why you're not interested or why you don't like cryptocurrency, what would your answer to that be?
I feel like for the most part, it's a scam. Like, I don't really understand the value of what it provides over like regular currency. Mm-hmm. And
when you say that, do you mean like you don't understand why it has any value at all? Like, why does crypto, like, why would a Bitcoin have any value? Why would anybody accept that as payment, right?
Yeah, that's part of it. Like, what gives it, or it doesn't really have, does it have intrinsic value? Like, is it worth,
I would argue yes. I would say yes, yeah.
What is that, just the ability to transfer?
Yes, cheaply, anywhere, pretty much instantly. So the argument with crypto in general right now is like, there's kind of a debate on just how speculative it is, because the entire space is so speculative, meaning nobody knows what the true value of any of it should be. That's kind of like the definition of speculation. Nobody really knows what it should be worth and what it shouldn't be worth, if it's worth anything, right? If anything, Bitcoin has the best case for it right now, because it's the most adopted, most used, and it's the safest.
But I guess my point is, like, are people still viewing it as like a means of currency, like decentralized currency? Or are people just using it now as a way to like make money, which I think is,
for sure, yeah, that's what it is. People,
and I think that's my problem with it, because it's completely speculative in terms of the making money portion of it. Because like publicly traded companies' stocks are based on how the companies are doing, right, and like their dividend payout. And I feel like crypto is just super subject to user manipulation or whatever.
Yeah, for sure, manipulation and trading as well as. Yeah, that's a really good point. So, again, there are so many cryptocurrencies, right? And for the most part, I think most of them probably are exactly what you say. There's nothing to them at all except speculation, wild hopes, and like, I hope I make some money off of this and then get rid of it. Some of the projects have use cases and they have dreams or goals in their projects. Many of them don't. What you said, about the value, what you just said, basically it didn't necessarily address that.
I think I went off track a little bit.
But that was a really good point you made. But in terms of value, I mean, I don't want to get into the whole argument of like what gives the U.S. dollar value, because I think everyone knows that argument. Like, it only has value because we use it and we say it has value, and everybody agrees that. So if enough people agree and use it, which is kind of what's happening with crypto too, because the adoption part is, if more people use it, if more stores accept it, then that's the path towards adoption.
But isn't a part of the like adoption of the US dollar that it doesn't change value over time? Like, obviously inflation is whatever, right, but that's not necessarily what I mean. Like a physical dollar is still going to be worth $1 no matter how prices change for stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is, but it also, I mean, that's a good point, but you even said it yourself. Inflation makes $1 kind of not $1 over time. Like $1 would buy you, 10 cheeseburgers from McDonald's at a certain point in time, right? $1 will not do that. So in a sense, even though it'll always say $1 equals $1, it's not, its actual value changes all the time and has changed, and it's gone down. The value of it's gone down. I don't have it pulled up, but that chart of like from like even 1900 to now, it's down like over 90%.
Yeah.
Right. So the US dollar is losing value. Even though a dollar is a dollar, that's because we only compare it to a dollar. We compare Bitcoin's price to the dollar, and we notice it's volatile as heck. It's always going up and down. If you compare USD to other currencies as well, USD does change in terms of in their relation. Were you going to say something?
Not specifically.
Okay. I saw you like laughing and smiling. I thought you were going to say.
Oh, well, I was thinking like in the future when all like store shelves are electronic, if instead of like having the dollar price of a product, it just shows you like the percentage of a Bitcoin that it's worth, and as the market like shifts up and down,
well,
the little
it'll be changing all the
display
time.
Adjusts
Right.
So like
So
by the time you get to checkout,
it'll be
your
different.
order could be like twice as much.
That's a good point, because that's what it would be now. If everything was Bitcoin now. The cool thing, hopefully and ideally, I guess what people's argument to that would be is that over time, as more people buy into it and more people use it, the volatility will decrease and decrease. Now, 10 years ago, Bitcoin was extremely volatile, and I guess you could really make the argument that it has not gotten much less volatile.
Even like 2017, it was super volatile.
Right, and even today, honestly, it went a few days ago. It jumped from 11 to like 14K and then dumped in a day. So it's still so early that it's still not stable at all, and it's still super speculative. So again, it's super early in the thing, and no, I don't think anyone's arguing that there's risk involved, because it's like super risky. I think anybody in the space should know, and for the most part does know, that it's incredibly, incredibly risky. The whole thing could go bananas and nobody use it, right? Or it could be the opposite, where it would stabilize. That's the thing, though. So I don't know if you know anything about Bitcoin Cash. Do you know like the argument behind that?
Just what you've said.
Yeah, there's a lot of... So Bitcoin Cash, basically that camp came out of the fact that there are people that disagree with where Bitcoin is now, and they think that the original white paper from 2008, 2009 is different from what Bitcoin is now, and their Bitcoin Cash is trying to adhere mainly to that original vision. So they're basically saying, we're the original Bitcoin, we should be Bitcoin. So like, even though it's called Bitcoin Cash, a lot of the times they'll call themselves Bitcoin instead of Bitcoin Cash, which some people will say, oh, well, that's like fraud because you're lying. That's not actually the main chain, the original chain. And they're going off the belief that the original white paper said it was supposed to be peer-to-peer electronic cash, basically only used for transacting.
Yeah.
But the part of growing a currency is that you can't grow a currency from like nothing and use it along the way for the exact reason you said. The price goes up and down all the time. So it doesn't make sense. So what Bitcoin has kind of become, instead of being called relative or like compared to a dollar or peer-to-peer cash, Bitcoin has become more of like a gold people compare it to gold as a store of value. So Bitcoin is being seen much more as a store of value as opposed to a currency. And then what's cool, like that's its own thing. And then a lot of other people are starting to compare certain altcoins to the cash. So like they'll say something, for example, Litecoin is a really popular one. And then pretty much every other coin. There are other ones like XRP, which is people that are kind of on a totally different spectrum of what they think cryptocurrency is or what it is. So XRP's main argument type of thing is that they're like, banks are never going away, people in power are never going away. Why not just get those people to use XRP, which is kind of like...
Isn't that the most reasonable conclusion to get to, though? Like,
for the mainstream public, and from your perspective, I would say, yeah, 100%. That would be the maybe easiest, because it wouldn't take power away from the banks necessarily in the same sense like the Bitcoin would, because XRP is essentially centralized. Anyone watching this that likes XRP will probably get mad at me saying that, because it's like, oh no, XRP isn't centralized, even though...
I was just gonna mock the people that like XRP.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess to a sense, technically they're right.
Don't talk shit about XRP, asshole.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to take that out.
Oh, you can't curse?
I don't know if I can get monetized.
Oh.
It's fine. I mean, I'll just bleep it, or maybe I won't even take it out. It doesn't matter. But keep cursing.
Cut that out.
Funny. Keep cursing. I think it'd be funny.
Can I make notes to the editor?
Yeah, go ahead.
Cut that part out.
Cut it out.
You can leave that in.
Yeah. Yeah, with XRP, like, I don't know, like, it is. Like, I don't know the exact numbers, but, like, there's huge portions of XRP that are owned by the creators of XRP. So, I mean, that in itself is kind of like the definition of centralization in a way.
Right.
But like XRP is actually kind of making a lot of progress in terms of banks using cryptocurrency. Kind of. So there was a soundbite of President Trump at some kind of conference. It was like a international type thing, and he was saying, this was a few days ago, and he was saying something along the lines of about digital currency and digital transactions, digital, and it was just digital this, digital that, and a lot of people were saying, boom, this is literally XRP he's talking about. Like he's literally saying we're about to use XRP, and the community. No, it's kind of reaching a little bit because he's not straight up saying that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are saying looking for hints, which granted I do that too, looking for oh shit, oh shoot, are they going to have an announcement where this and that? And a lot of people were just likening that to Trump's going to come out and say that. To be honest though, if anyone, Trump's a businessman, right? So I feel like Trump might actually be on board. I personally think he's made slight references here and there, and maybe some people in the comments would post something, links, whatever, but Trump I think is pretty on board with crypto, especially compared to anyone else. If any president would be on board with crypto, I think Trump is pretty on board. He likes making money. He's when it comes down to it, he wants to make money. He's a businessman. That's kind of his goal. And if he can, I'm sure he's invested in cryptocurrency. I'm sure he has people that have. I mean, there's even been statements about his people looking into it. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. What do you think about that? What do you think about? So you said so. And it makes sense that you'd say that. So if there would be a cryptocurrency you would invest in, it sounds like it would be XRP.
Right, because I don't think that... I mean, how could you possibly take, the federal government and banks out of the main form of currency? It doesn't make sense to me. Or it doesn't seem feasible to completely, invalidate, the dollar. I guess you could replace it with a form of cryptocurrency, but the whole idea of decentralization essentially goes against that point, right?
Goes against what point?
Having the government or banks involved.
Yeah, decentralization is kind of, it's kind of eliminating them because they would be centralized. They're a centralized thing, and so decentralization essentially removes them. It's kind of like if you're a company, you have a distributor, and then it gets to the end user. It's kind of like taking out the distributor company to end user. However, in this case, company is just currency.
But why would they ever let that happen? Wouldn't they just make it illegal?
That's the thing, and I think they've tried to, and there are countries that have. There are countries I know, I think China did for a while, but I don't think it is now. I think they go back and forth, and again, that was heavily affecting the price in 2017. I remember actually specifically in September of 2017, I was sitting at my desk at my job there as a social worker, and I was sitting there, and I remember reading that because a lot of the time I would read the news every morning when I would get in, and the prices of cryptocurrency dumped. And if we looked on the chart, I don't have it pulled up. I can very easily. So this is 2018. Right here. So yep, September. So let me switch this. So right around here, this was September. This dip actually here essentially was completely because of the news that came out, or at least that's what people attributed it. 5,000 went all the way down to this, but you can see it just continued up, obviously. So that was because China made it illegal or whatever. But the thing is, first of all, with the Trump administration, for everything we've heard so far, it sounds like they're for it, which is weird, you would think, right? Because why would they want to take power away from them? The thing is, even Jamie Dimon, he's huge CEO, right, of a bank, right? There have been multiple people over the past, even I've been in crypto 2 years, there have been multiple huge figureheads come out and say stuff like that. But it's funny because it's not proven, but there's so much evidence that those people are actually buying and getting involved in it. The people that are in charge of banks, they want to make money. They got there most likely because they are all about money. They know how to manage money. They're all about money. And so they see this opportunity, not only you don't see opportunities like this really. So even if they could care less about the technology, they see something go up 5,000%, 10,000%, don't you think a part of them wants to get in? And they have so much power that they can say something scary like, oh, this is garbage, and the price dumps. And a lot of people theorize that when they do that, they buy in more and they buy it. So they purposely, and again, this is not something that's only involved in crypto. This happens in stocks too.
No, I understand that.
People will, do anything to make things crash, even because they know long term it'll probably be valuable. They know that it's valuable. So I think that is a good point. And in one sense, we can never know if they really don't want it to be used or if they do want it to be used. There are definitely people in government. Brad Sherman is his name.
Brad Meltzer.
Brad Meltzer, yes, that's him. What is he from?
Brad Meltzer Discovers.
Oh yeah,
Brad Meltzer Uncoded. Or
he was
Decoded.
like that really goofy guy on the History Channel.
Ned's Declassified School Survival Guy.
Yeah, wait, I want to go back to Brad Meltzer. Let me I'm gonna pull him up real quick because he was actually really.
Now that's something I can get passionate about.
Brad Meltzer was such a goofball. This guy, his show was kind of entertaining, but he seemed kind of like a wacko in terms of like, he just seemed kind of weird.
He was actually the guy that created Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, Brad Meltzer created Bitcoin. This is his book that created Bitcoin. Secret Plot to Kill George Washington.
Right.
I don't know if I'm gonna have to cut those parts out with the dogs barking because it's super annoying, but I'm gonna keep it anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, I totally forgot about Brad Meltzer. That's actually really funny though that you bring him up. His show. I don't think his show did that great, but who watches cable nowadays? Anyway?
There's a chicken lady, the girl. You know how he sent out his 3 gains?
The
girl was super tall and skinny. She looked like a chicken.
I remember her. Yeah, it was the one guy that was always super passionate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was back in his lair always directing.
Yeah, Brad Meltzer from his mastermind throne.
Those are
He was like the what was the big hologram face that the Power Rangers had?
Yes.
Zorban or Gordon.
Like that. I was gonna say Morpheus, but that's the Matrix.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah, it was Morpheus. Let me pull up. What's his name?
The Power Rangers.
Floating head.
Yeah.
This guy.
Zordon. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Zordon.
Okay, so Zordon. Yeah, Zordon was pretty cool. I don't know.
He definitely got into cryptocurrency.
So they had a different guy for the voice and probably the face. Wait, so the voice, maybe they had multiple guys. Wow.
It was like a deep fake. They put a couple guys' faces together, created a whole new human.
Bryan Cranston was a Zordon. Wow. I guess they might have had a few Zordons. Oh, I think I remember there were different ones, yeah.
Looks like Billy Corgan.
Yes, from Floating Peaches or that band.
Yeah, the Floating Peach.
Billy Corgan.
Smashing Pumpkins.
Yes, yeah.
Although I do like the Floating Peaches are pretty good too.
That was actually, that was a good guess for so close. So
anyway, what were we talking about?
Yeah. So only 20 minutes so far, not bad.
Should we try to get talking back to crypto?
Yeah, we can kind of get back to that. So we were talking about Brad Meltzer somehow. How did we get into Brad Meltzer? I kind of forget how.
Oh, you said some guy in the government, Brad Sherman, or.
Oh, okay. So Brad Sherman is pretty against it, and it's because he's essentially being paid to badmouth it by, I forget what companies. Essentially, that might be a little false or inaccurate what I just said, but basically he has a strong stance against it because his interests lie against it. I don't need to get into detail because it's not super interesting. He just kind of, he's not very interesting either. I'll show you what he looks like. He looks very goofy as well, so people hate him. You know what? Maybe his name isn't Bradley Sherman.
I feel like there'd be more results. I think it's Ricardo Milos.
Anti-crypto Bradley? What's his name?
Can we get some Ricardo Milos spam in chat?
Yo, here he is. Here. So Brad Sherman. Okay, so it's Brad Sherman, not Bradley Sherman. Okay. So apparently Google can't differentiate the word Brad and Bradley.
Right.
They're very close. But his name's Bradley Sherman. I didn't have it pulled up this whole time. So here, Brad Sherman. Okay. So yeah, this guy. He hates crypto basically. And
we'd probably get along.
Yeah, because you guys hate crypto.
Yeah.
So okay, I guess moving on to another topic is this is kind of a different question. If you knew a certain coin Although it's kind of a dumb question because I feel like the answer is going to be yes. If you knew a certain coin, if you put in $5,000, within 2 years your returns would be over 100,000.
Yeah.
Would that, if it was guaranteed, would that be something you would do?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not against the idea of using it to make money. Like, I think that's honestly the only thing that I see value in it for, because I think the graphs that you showed me prove like it goes up and down like a lot, and there's money to be made there. So yeah, I definitely invest in it if I thought that.
If you kind of would be guaranteed that you know it's going to keep going up in the future.
Yeah.
If you do, that money just wasn't going to go to crap. Okay, so I'm going to edit this because I had another question I was about to say and my brain just completely stopped. So really, and I think honestly, and a lot of people will try and say this isn't true, but I think for the most part, most people are only in it to make money.
Yeah.
I think the technology is really cool, but I don't think anybody would care at all if there wasn't a huge opportunity to make a lot of money. And for some reason, I think there was a time period where people were kind of dancing around that topic, being like, no, like, I love the tech.
It's pure. Money is corrupt. This is pure.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. There are people who are like white knights and like, yeah.
SJW.
Yeah. And it's almost like people try to guilt people into like, they think you're not allowed to be into crypto just to make money.
Right.
It's kind of gross that anyone would like assume something like what? First of all, what's wrong with making money?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is there something inherently wrong with wanting to make money? No, there's not. And so people, I guess they just don't have anything better to do than be like, hey, like, you're not in crypto for the right reasons. It's like, I understand, like, crypto, it's cool. Like, I'm on the side where I think the technology is cool, and I think it would be awesome to take power away from the banks, to do it cheaply, transactions cheap, pretty much instantly, no censorship. People can't tell you when you can't spend the money. So that's awesome. I think so. Again, I'm one of those people that would fall into things of like, I like the tech and the aspect of making money, but I don't think there's anything wrong with just wanting to make money.
Right.
I don't think there's anything wrong with somebody being like, you know what? Well, I can't say that completely, but like, if you are happy,
I'd do anything to make $1.
Yeah, like you would do
anything.
you would do anything. I was trying to segue into a joke, but then it becomes inappropriate. So, you know what I mean? So like, I got to try and watch what I say. But the thing is, like, if you're happy with how your bank handles everything, if you've never run into any problems, that's fine. I personally, I mean, I'm experiencing problems with the bank. I'm not going to get into details with Edith and everything. So again, that's another thing to me. It's like, so I guess there are some securities, like, people feel comfortable. They're so used to using banks because it's like, oh, somebody stole my identity, I'll contact the bank, and for the most part it seems to get resolved, like it does, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a limit on the amount of, so if your debit card information gets stolen, there's a limit to how much you're on the line for, essentially. And
can you explain more on that?
Yeah, so I think it's like, if you get your debit card information taken and you can prove like that you didn't make the transactions, I think you're only liable for like $200 or $500 of the amount that they spend.
When you say liable, meaning that if somebody steals your identity, you have to forego that amount? Like, you're...
Yeah, so let's say somebody takes your identity, they pay that money out of your account. I think banks will reimburse.
Why would they not reimburse all of it? They do eventually, right? They have to, right? Really?
Because I think... you can look it up.
What would I look up?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I wouldn't know how to what to type in for that.
I guess it's just a portion of, or it's a factor of risk.
Right.
Like how many debit account identity theft things really go over $200.
That leads me to something which might be a good point in this.
And also, I could be completely wrong.
Okay. Good point. Good disclaimer. But I guess that leads me to a good point there of like, all right, not to be insulting, but I feel like most people don't put too much thought into their money. They do their job, they get their money, and that's basically it. They don't care too much. Thinking about crypto and money is too hard.
Yeah.
So another thing is, though, when people lose their money or so they get their money stolen from them, they need, or at least they feel like they need a bank to get it back for them. So I guess a possible problem that somebody might argue is like cryptocurrency, you know, if somebody if your money's gone, you can never get it back.
Yeah.
Which is like true. Like if you lose your keys, you lose your keys. You can't contact the company of Bitcoin to get your money because it doesn't exist.
Yeah. Or like, do exchanges get like hacked or whatever?
Yes.
So what happens to the people's coins if that happens?
So for example, Coinbase says it's like insured, so basically you get your money back. However, in the past, different exchanges have been hacked and different people have lost their money and they've never gotten it back. So there have been plenty, and even I think last year, even 2018, Canada's biggest exchange, pretty sure all that money is gone, and I could be wrong, but I don't think people really got their money back. So again, Cryptopia, I don't think you can withdraw from their thing right now, because their exchange right now, because
there's no money.
Yeah, I think so. And it was funny is I had a small altcoin just sitting in that exchange and I can't withdraw it. It's still there. The balance is still there, but I don't know if I don't think I'll ever be able to withdraw it. I forget which cryptocurrency it has. It was only a few $100s, so it doesn't matter that much, but I'm pretty sure I'll probably never be able to get that. So again, risk. The risk is there, and a lot of the times you pay for it, meaning, yeah, the risk, this may or might not happen, and sometimes it does happen, and then boom, you're out of your money. Luckily, I didn't put like a couple $1,000s because that would be really annoying to permanently lose that, which I don't even know permanently, but it's like, it's nice to know that I can, like, that money's probably gone forever. You know what I mean? So yeah, cryptocurrency, and again, it's so new, there's obvious risk, but if you do the simplest things and you follow the simplest rules, like keeping it off the exchanges, and another thing is investing in cryptocurrencies that you think are very stable in terms of they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Like coins with a name like Bitcoin, for example. If there's any coin that's not going anywhere, it's most likely Bitcoin. Maybe like Ganja coin, which I actually think is a coin, that might not be as safe. That might disappear forever. And
probably don't invest in that.
Oh yeah, so Ganja coin probably wouldn't be a smart investment. Probably is gonna go. It's probably gonna die, or it could die at any moment. And like, you know, it's not. It doesn't have any backing really. So Bitcoin's just more established, safer.
How do people find new coins? Like, what does that mean? Like when people mine Ganja coin.
Well, that's the thing.
How's that different than mining a Bitcoin?
Well, that's the thing too. Not every coin needs to be mined. Some of them are created with their max supply. So, and all of them have different algorithms. That's actually one of the cool things about cryptocurrency is that like all of them, not all of them, some of them copy and paste each other, obviously, but like some of them have their entire way. Like for example, IOTA was a big one. Nano, the block lattice structure, you don't like necessarily do it the same way you do Bitcoin. So there's different blockchains and different technologies, and some of the appeal of the other coins fundamentally is actually some of them do different things, which is cool. Different ways of accomplishing kind of the same thing. Some of them offer other things. Like, for example, Ethereum was really big because it lent a platform where you can build a lot of stuff on top of it, which Bitcoin isn't really about that. Bitcoin's basically just, the goal was originally just to be money.
Yeah.
Ethereum and the rise of altcoins in 2017 was largely this whole idea of being able to use cryptocurrency for more than money. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of what made it blow up in 2017, I think. Because there's more you could do with it than just money. And I think so a lot of people argue too that we're going to go into the Internet of Things basically, so where we have, it's kind of just that idea expanded more, where there's going to be things where we can just use everything on a decentralized platform. I think I'm kind of explaining it not very good, but it's kind of basically the main point there. But yeah, Bitcoin's selling point from the beginning was use this as money, and it's kind of shifted into Bitcoin has value, and it's deflationary, has value, has use. Over time, this is going to be more and more scarce. We think it's going to be more valuable. For example, I like this thing. Pokemon cards actually are valuable now. And because I remember when we were kids, we would buy them, and people actually had the idea of like, oh, these are going to be rare, valuable in the future. And it's crazy because I don't know why, but they still are. Like, what gives Pokemon cards value? Scarcity for
limited
one.
Supply.
Right.
Yeah.
So, in a sense, it's deflationary. There's not going to be more of a certain...
They're never going to, unless they do like re-releases, but I'm sure that they won't be identical to the original cards.
Yeah, so for example, Pokemon Evolutions, X and Y Evolutions is like a re-release of the original series, but they're not nearly as valuable as like the actual original series.
Right.
Because they have the exact same picture, same description and everything, but they're not, and they're clearly not the original, yeah. and there's some things that are lacking on them to also differentiate that. But there are things that over time just have value because people give it value. And I think the biggest thing, honestly, it sounds like might be scarcity. Because if something is if there's very little of something and there's never going to be more of it, I think that, in my opinion, might be the biggest thing of like what gives, like a huge factor on what gives something value. Because if you just have unlimited things, like it's not that
Like dinosaur eggs.
Like dinosaur eggs?
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you have a lot of dinosaur eggs.
No, you wouldn't have a lot. There's only a couple left. That's why people pay a lot of them, or a lot for them.
So if somebody had a lot of dinosaur eggs, they couldn't have a lot of dinosaur eggs?
That's the thing. You'd only have a couple.
Yeah, but you could have, I guess, a lot compared to the rest of the dinosaur egg collectors.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. It wasn't something I originally factored into the equations, but you know. How do we get back on topic?
Dude, I don't think we do.
I think that's the ending.
I like that Pokemon topic though.
Yeah, the Pokemon. So what? Okay, this is a good thing actually. What else? Do you have anything that comes to mind that is also scarce that has value? I don't think Thai Beanie Babies really do they?
No, I don't really think so.
I don't think anyone really cares about Beanie Babies that much.
No, I definitely think like the only reason why Pokemon cards still have value is because Pokemon is still a thing. Like,
right, it's still popular.
Yeah,
they're still making new games, and that then kind of
nobody wants to go back and get the old Thai Beanie Babies because nobody has the current Thai Beanie Babies, if there are any.
Yeah. Okay, that's actually a good topic. Like, well, Beanie Babies are Beanie Babies. They kind of just, that's it. It kind of sucks. Like, it's a little toy. It's not a toy. It's a little thing. Pokemon cards, for one thing, they're tied in with video games, movies, pretty much all media. It's still popular today. They're still making new video games. They're still making new movies. Not only that, it's actually thriving. They just made the live action one, Ryan Reynolds' voice one. So it's still in popular culture.
It might be bigger now than it ever was.
Yeah, so it's become more and more popular. And do you think that directly makes... I think it does, actually. I guess I answered my own question. But I guess that directly makes the older cards, the reason they're still valuable or more valuable is because the franchise itself is still relevant, is still popular, and it probably won't go anywhere. It's time tested, like time proven.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, nobody cares about the old Duel Masters cards.
Right.
Because nobody plays Duel Masters.
Good point. So I guess the next question would be, would there ever be a time where those cards might become useless? And I guess it all depends on is Pokemon going to be popular forever? Because it's still popular, still very popular, even with our generation, because we grew up with it, so there's a sense of nostalgia. It's still kind of popular with our age group, which it wasn't necessarily popular with 25-year-olds back in the 90s or early 2000s. Now it is, and it's also popular with kids, so it's kind of continuing on. So it's kind of the main thing with that. But, and I guess that's relevant too for money and Bitcoin, because, I mean, in a sense, if you want to look at it this way, eventually Bitcoin, everything will be worthless because eventually the human race will die, like when the sun burns out and stuff. So in that argument, not everything's going to be around forever anyway. Yeah. But I guess, I mean, I guess you can't put an arbitrary time. I guess we'll try to kind of transition to the next topic because I kind of, I think the point was already made there.
I think that topic is good to end with the universe dying and the sun.
Yeah, but then everything becomes useless. I guess the thing that I struggled with trying to flesh out there is like, how long does something have to be popular? Because for a time, Beanie Babies were popular. It just so happens that they're not anymore. Yeah. For a time, Pokemon was popular, and it just so happens it still is. So it still has value. Is there any other examples we have that? I mean, again, though...
baseball cards, maybe?
Yeah, and are they still... I don't really know too much about baseball cards.
I don't know. I guess I'm not the right person to ask.
I mean, I know I still see people in malls selling them, but overall, I don't know if they're super popular, I guess. There's probably a market on it for the internet. The market makes it really easy to make anything popular because it's so... It connects everyone, so somebody's always going to be interested in something. So there probably is still a market for Beanie Babies, just very small. And those people probably have to find new hobbies because Beanie Babies are kind of horrible, you know? Nobody cares about them.
Yeah, that's true. Do the Birdman hand rub.
I'm going to cut this whole part out of me just staring.
Yeah.
So what gives Bitcoin value?
That's a good question.
That's what we talked about. Well, I mean, I wish I could answer that question better, because everything I told you is basically the only reason it has value, is because, I mean, when you really say something like what gives the US dollar value, it is true, because like it's only because you can buy anything with it. But after that point, it's like, that's why the argument for the US dollar is getting weaker and weaker, though, because like it's horrible. It's a horrible store of value because the value keeps going down. They just print more of it when they want. So it's a worse option. So you look down the road, though, fundamentally, don't you think that in the future we'll lean towards a thing that you can't create more of? The value continuously increases, potentially. I mean, that is the problem with buying things, though. Like, there's only a certain amount of money in the world. And Bitcoin right now is just tapping into, and crypto in general is tapping into a portion of it, which is why the prices are so crazy up and down. But if there's a point where Bitcoin maybe captures 50% of that value, then it won't be crazy because it's just going to be used.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's only if it's adopted. But if you look back 5 years ago, where we're at now would seem impossible. Nobody would expect a $10,000 Bitcoin ever.
Yeah.
5 years ago, nobody would really, or maybe there would be some people, but most people would never expect that.
So I guess my question is, like, if one currency does eventually become adopted, what does that mean for all the rest of the currencies?
Yeah, that's a really good question too. Like, is there room for more than just Bitcoin? Is there room for other cryptocurrencies?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is now we're in an age of just total speculation. So, or in a stage of total speculation with crypto. So it's like, so there's pretty much three different opinions. There's going to be one crypto, it's Bitcoin, or there's going to be a few that stick around, or like there's going to be just a ton and pretty much all of them make it, which is the least likely in my opinion. There's no chance, in my opinion, 5-10 years down the road, Ganja Coin or whatever, like Dumb Coin. Man,
Ganja Coin is not going to sponsor this podcast.
No, not at all. I hope people watch it. People watch this thing. Yeah. Okay. So I guess I personally think because there are different use cases. For example, like Litecoin is trying to get more into privacy, where, you know, the argument of people saying like Bitcoin's used by criminals. Have you heard of this?
Yeah.
That's because it got very popular from the Silk Road, which was very much used for criminal activity.
Yeah.
It's not because Bitcoin is used primarily for criminals. It's just because it works.
Yeah.
The only reason people are using it is because it worked. And you couldn't really censor it or prevent it like you can with a bank or cash or whatever. And also, it's harder to trace, I guess, but at the same time, it's not, because you can trace it. There are certain coins that are privacy featured, like Monero, which you can't really trace. And so if a government's going to ban anything, it would probably be one of those, because a government couldn't have any control over it or any oversight at all.
Yeah.
But Bitcoin, it's pretty easy to actually see where the money goes, address to address. You can actually look through that. Yeah, but I guess it goes back to that fundamental question: will there be one cryptocurrency that takes all of the value, or will there be multiple? And I don't think anybody really knows. In fact, pretty much everything in this space, I don't think anyone knows pretty much anything about what's going to happen in the next 5 years. Like, nobody knows anything.
I get that vibe.
You know what I mean? It's totally like nobody knows if Bitcoin's going to be around in 5 years. I personally strongly think it will, but nobody actually knows. Like, nobody has any idea. So nobody knows if it's going to be $5,000, if it's going to be $500,000, let alone is there something else that comes out that's better. In 2017 or 2018 there was this whole thing. It's called Hashgraph, and DataDash, the biggest at the moment cryptocurrency channel, talked about it, and he was saying about it's supposed to have superior technology to cryptocurrency. I think it turned out that it's not really decentralized at all, and it's pretty much a company, so it kind of. But anyway, that threat or that idea was very real. Like, oh, what if there's actually something even crazier and better than crypto? Because there could be, and there might be, and who knows? 5 years from now, maybe that'll be the thing. Another scary possibility, which nobody listening to this is going to like, is that maybe something better or more revolutionary comes out, and every altcoin eventually goes to zero or has no value at all. Maybe Bitcoin does as well. Again, I think that's very unlikely. I don't think that's the case at all, but my point is nobody knows. Something that kind of scares me actually is how bullish, or when I say bullish, I mean optimistic, everyone is in this space. Because I personally am. But a part of me is also like, when everybody's super optimistic, it makes me feel as if it's too good to be true.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a fear I have sometimes. Again, the technology is the only thing that gives me comfort, because if you like talk about the technology, you realize, oh, there's an actual reason why this is still around, and it hasn't been illegalized, it hasn't been destroyed. You know what I mean? There's a reason it's still here. But at the same time, you know, you always got to wonder, like, man, the thing that actually makes me feel better is the fact that there are so many people who don't like cryptocurrency or don't believe in it, because then that enables the possibility of it becoming successful more. It makes it more likely, I think, because if you had everybody being like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense, let's just do that, I feel like, first of all, I just feel like that wouldn't work, just based on how I think other things get adopted. Usually things that are very successful usually have a lot of opposition at first.
Right.
And then they force themselves into...
If everybody already believes in something and it's not getting adopted, then it's not going to get adopted. If there's a lot of opposition and room for people to sway their opinion, and it's currently not being adopted, there's room for that to branch out and for it to adopt, like, mainstream appeal. Whereas if everybody already agrees, like, oh, this thing's cool, but then it doesn't go anywhere, it gives less validity, I would say.
Right.
If that made sense.
Yeah, it does. Okay. Yeah, what would be your transition? So I think we established a lot of stuff. Actually, what I think would be good if people would leave comments disagreeing, agreeing, or just expanding on any of that stuff. That would be good for a future thing to talk about.
Yeah, we could always go back through. People can call me dumb. I appreciate that.
People will probably call me dumb because they do. But guys, when you do that, I just block your comment and you can never comment on my stuff again. Because I'm not going to put work in anything just so I can have usually unattractive and younger there's
white
a lot of dumb
males. White cis males.
Yeah, cisgendered males comment. I'm not going to put work in anything just to have a dumb opinion posted on my page. I'm just going to delete it and I'm going to block you. If you post something where it's well formulated and you make a good point and you're not completely rude about it, I leave those comments up. But if it's just like a rude comment, it just gets deleted, as it deserves to. It doesn't deserve anyone else to read something like that. You're not going to get a second of publicity on my channel, and I hope other people ban and block you too, and you should just get off the internet. Probably just going to not even add that to the thing.
I think you should leave it. I liked it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to leave a part of it, maybe not the end part, but yeah, I mean, we, at this point, if anyone's still listening this far into the thing, at this point, we could pretty much talk about anything because they're already kind of talking, you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about something else. This is more that I talked about crypto than probably ever in my life, so.
For sure. It's already 52. It's 52 minutes in. Well, we had to take a 5-minute break or so yeah. That's still over 30 minutes at least. 40 minutes. 45, I would say. But anyway, like, I wonder, so crypto and video gaming, so you know the show Silicon Valley? Mm-hmm. They're, Richard, whatever, his, like, main goal is, like, I want to create a new internet. Out in, like, I don't know how many seasons are, but in, like, the most recent season, that was his new goal.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to create a new internet. And that's kind of what, and the show is heavily, they use a lot of crypto stuff. They even have an ICO. There's an episode about that. It's very influenced by cryptocurrency.
You need, like, a throw a bucket off to the side.
No, it's funny. When I talk a lot, I have to burp very often. And in my last video, I just talked through it, and it made me talk weird because I was going like this, and it made my voice sound weird. And somebody commented with the exact timestamp being like, what are you doing? And I responded just being like, oh, sorry, dude, I had to burp. They were like, are you about to cry or something like that? And I was like, no. They were like, oh, did you invest too much in your coin and now it's going down? And that's why you're crying.
Little baby.
Yeah, I think it's funny that somebody put that much, they actually watched it that much through and formulated something, which is kind of a compliment that somebody would even watch that. But
can you leave, if people shit talk me, can you leave those comments? Because I would like to read them.
Yeah, I don't think people really will. People are, for the most part, nice, and everybody that's been mean to me is already permanently blocked. So people, for the most part, But, I mean, I think you made good points. I don't think you're really attacking anything. And anybody that would say anything negative would just be like, you know what I mean? Because, like, what you're saying is not an uneducated opinion. Maybe in certain senses of, like, the actual tech, this and that.
Right. I mean, I don't know anything about the technology.
Yeah. What do you mean you don't know anything about the tech? Like, I mean, if you know what decentralization is, then you basically know a lot about the tech.
Oh, okay. I guess I know about the tech.
So, I mean, I guess in terms of the nitty gritty, like how does a blockchain work?
Yeah.
How does the mining reward, and even stuff way, way deeper than that? For the most part, nobody really cares about any of that because some of it's just like way over people's head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not going to be appealing to a wide range of people anyway. So you have to think, you want to talk about things that most people are going to even care about at all. It's like if you say, this is fast, this is cheap, a bank can't tell you, you can't use it like this, like you don't really need to go too much deeper than that.
Right.
Because like for the most part, not many people need to know like stuff that I don't know either. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't matter that much. The reason I stopped talking...
Leave that in.
The reason I stopped talking is because I really don't feel good. So I'm just looking away. So why don't we... Well, I'll do what I can with this video. Put it all up and everything. See what people say. And then going from that, we can make a response to it and kind of address what people say about the video. Say about concerns and everything.
Response video.
Yeah, like a response. Well, we could do episode 2 because this is the first one. Episode 1, podcast 1.
It's the first inaugural podcast.
Let's call it crypto hater versus altcoin no.
Wait, no.
What would be a good title? What would be a good title of the video? That's always super important.
You could do a meme off the Chad versus Virgin thing.
Yeah.
Chad crypto buyer versus Virgin crypto hater.
Yeah. And I could in the thumbnail I could make you like goofy, like warp it to be
just use
nerdy.
the meme where the Chad has like his arms
and put
waving like that.
Yeah.
And, you be the Chad, I'll be the Virgin.
Everybody in the crypto space is so used to one person talking at them for 10 minutes or a live stream for like an hour or something with a chart behind them.
Yeah.
It's the same thing every time. So I think people would be more interested to see people actually talking in more of a...
I think that's something that I can touch on if we ever do this again. How bullshit I think most of the people's videos are. Yeah,
actually. So how BS you think people's videos are? Go ahead. Like, have you watched crypto videos before?
No.
But you've seen me watch them, so you kind of have an idea, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you just talk a little about it now, and then we can expand maybe if you want to.
I mean, like, how can... It just seems like a complete waste of time for people to do... What is it called? Something analysis? Technical analysis videos for 10 minutes every day.
Right.
And, like, how often is the technical analysis really accurate if nobody really knows what the market's going to do?
It's basically 50-50. And the thing is, people get so butthurt. People that do it get so upset when a lot of people, I don't, because I know that I don't take it, like, I'm not here to tell you the price.
Yeah.
But some people will get so upset because they take themselves so seriously. And they're like, no, I can't be wrong. How dare I can't be wrong? And there are people that I'm not going to name individual who will literally, like, point out. They will pick and choose, like, out of 20 different things they said, the one thing that actually happened, and they will make sure everyone sees it 100.
Yeah, I feel like it's like an astrology sign. Like, no matter what sign you are, it's like...
Yeah.
Oh, you're funny sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that applies to literally everybody.
Right. It's crazy. It's
I could make a technical analysis video.
You could. I can. That's why I do. Anyone can do it. And the thing is,
I could be right more than you.
the thing is, people that I personally think the people that are successful at it. Well, there's some people that are actually good at it, which is very few. Yeah. Especially because, like, if you're good at it, why are you going to make a YouTube video?
Right. Just get a real job.
If you're good at it, don't make a YouTube video for technical analysis. Get a real job, like you said, or just trade and make your money that way. Mm-hmm. But the most people that make it are just people who are trying to capitalize off of the audience, and that's kind of what I do as well. But I also admit that I'm not like
an expert.
At all, and I never try to be. I never actually try to make like a prediction. And I say this in my videos, like, all I'm trying to do in my videos is get people excited about cryptocurrency because I think it's cool. And to make a video at least once a week, you have to talk about the price because that's what people are excited about. Yeah. But there are people who will literally, like, get so offended if someone's like, your technical analysis is wrong. They'll get so offended and be like, no, look at this. I was right about this. It's like, come on, we're not 10 years old. You're allowed to be wrong. Nobody, like, it's like almost as if they view themselves as somebody who they think that everyone around
smarter than the market or something.
Yeah, they think that they're always right. And it's like, what? Like, nobody's ever right. It doesn't matter who you are. Nobody's ever right. And there's nothing wrong with being wrong. but it's almost like they're struggling with themselves to admit that, like, I'm allowed to be wrong.
They really picked the wrong field to get into if they can't handle being wrong about a speculative industry.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, oh, nobody knows what this is going to do, but I have to be right every single day.
Well, I mean, even if they're wrong or right, still getting ad revenue. So it doesn't really matter. And that's why it's like, but I just think it's funny that people get so upset. It's like, oh, you know what? I was right. Watch this. I'm going to tweet about it. I'm going to show it in my video 100 times. It's like, nobody cares. And also, let's talk about the 100 other times you were wrong in the past month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's funny because when they're wrong, they'll say, oh, well, I was just throwing out scenarios. Mm-hmm. And when they're right, they'll be like, look, I was right. It's like,
I really committed to this one.
It's so contradictory. It's like
I think this is more so a conversation just about human nature as opposed to crypto videos.
It is. It's about ego. It's about human psychology. And the crazy thing is cryptocurrency and all of this is all just psychology at this point. Again, speculative asset like Bitcoin, it's basically human psychology. It's like, what is Bitcoin really worth? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
So that's what the prices basically trade on. That's why we went, I mean, you've seen the charts of Bitcoin and stuff before. It went absolutely insane. And it went insane even a few days ago. It's all just speculation. But the thing is, it's speculation on a technology that's very useful, in my opinion. So it's not just, you know what I mean? There's two sides of it, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's going to be it for this first one. Make sure to leave a comment below. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, follow me on Twitter, all the good stuff. And leave your comments below, and we'll address them in the next one.
Guys, follow me on Instagram, MySpace, Squarespace.
Xvideos.
I'm on Craigslist. You can catch me on Craigslist.